Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cozy Club, my friends. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day. We are going to be continuing on our team series guide that we've been covering, understanding teams to the fullest degree, going over their strengths, their weaknesses, the kill or target priority, the biggest threats on the field, and most importantly, the countering of these teams. Now, if you've missed it already, we have done Big Hero 6, but we are on to a new 6 today, and it's easily one that has people pulling their hair out. It is the Sensational Six, arguably the best defensive team. No, not arguably, the best defensive team right now in DSA. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to walk through everything that you need to know. Again, what is great about this team, what is weak about it, and how, most importantly, can you counter it with the teams that you have. And a little bit of a spoiler alert, it is a pain in the butt to counter. I can definitely tell you that. Nothing but the truth. But again, we're going to learn how to take on this team in Sorcerer Tournament and also Club Conquest. There's still a very great team outside of those modes, but we're going to go through all the things that make Sensational Six an absolutely amazing team and a big threat to go up against. Now, with all this team talk, I wanted to say, if you haven't joined us live on Twitch, I go through and test a ton of teams. We talk counters, we talk your roster and how to use it. It's a great community. You can find me at my Twitch handle right here or in the description below. And with all that being said, let's jump into today's video. And oh yeah, it's a beautiful day for some DSA. Cozy Club, so the Sensational Six team has been out twice at the time of me making this video, so we're going to be seeing a lot more of this team, and it's that much more important that you learn how to counter them. Now, we're going to go ahead, like I said, we're going to start with the strength and the weaknesses of this team and the Sensational Six. Now, the Mickey, the Minnie, Donald Duck, Daisy Duck, Goofy, and Pluto. Now, Goofy is left off of most of these teams. He's kind of the weak link of the bunch, if you will. You're going to see Pluto a lot more now, or you're going to see kind of a fill-in character like Baymax, like Hercules, and that makes the team even more of a headache to go through. But for today's video, we're going to solely be talking about the Sensational Six and not really talking about the endless possibility of plug-and-play characters. So, we're going to go ahead and start off with the Sensational Six, the S6's strengths. Now, talking about the strengths, we're going to go ahead and look at it. They are the defense MVPs. They are an insane defense team, one of the hardest to go up against in Club Conquest and in Sorcerer's Tournament. The next strength that they have is a high counter threat. The counters that this team can produce can absolutely destroy just about any character in the game, and when you least suspect it, your best character is now dead and you're unable to use them. And then lastly, the cornucopia of helpful effects and all the synergy that they have amongst one another. This team is one of the most synergized teams in the game, which is what makes them so great to use really anywhere in the game, but especially the AI is able to use this team very well. So that is going to be the strengths. Let's go ahead and jump into them. All right, first up, they are the defense MVPs. Now you guys can see it right here. Look at this team start the battle. They're going to all gain 10% bonus speed from Mickey Mouse. They're going to get 3% bonus offense per active Sensational Six ally. And lastly, they're going to get 3% defense per active Sensational Six ally. Now, if that wasn't enough, Mickey Mouse also on defense is going to give all these beautiful creatures haste, defense up, and harmful immunity. And with the new changes to haste, that means they're going to be having some insane epic speed. Now, if haste wasn't bad enough, like they're already lightning fast, you have defense up, making them harder to kill. And then on top of all of that, they get the bonus leadership from Mickey and harmful immunity, which is definitely the most trickiest thing about this team. All the usual ways that you counter teams is not going to work on this team right away, because you're going to have to burn through that harmful immunity that is up for 2 freaking turns. So they're the defense MVP and one of, if not easily, the best team to set for Sorcerer's Tournament or Club Conquest. The next strength for this team is the high counter threat that it provides and enables. Guys, Donald Duck and Daisy Duck and even Pluto can put some counter attacks that absolutely delete your best characters. They're going to hit through evades, and all of a sudden you've got your characters there, and then they're gone. So the counter attacks from Donald and Daisy absolutely start to stack up, and really against AoE teams, they have almost no chance because of all the counters coming. We'll get to that. We'll get to their weaknesses and get to how to counter this. But countering the counter is not easy, let me tell you. Now, last up on the list is the cornucopia great word, by the way, of helpful effects, magic increase, and all the synergy that they share. Guys, this team completely has a helpful effects just raining down from it. All the characters are able to throw out helpful effects. Daisy Duck is able to extend helpful effects. They are an absolute nightmare to handle because of the constant attack up, defense up. You've got taunts on multiple characters. They are a headache. And on top of all of this, a lot of these characters have ways to reduce magic or decrease these cooldowns on their fellow Mickey and Friends teammates. It's a nightmare to begin with because they already have such great abilities, but the fact that they can lower these cooldowns makes it even harder and definitely more difficult to predict what this team is going to do. And then lastly, they have just great synergy. All the countering, all the assisting, they're able to heal each other. You've got Donald and Daisy with one of the best duo-ship in the game, which if you haven't seen, go ahead and check the video up above to go ahead and find out the great duo that creates. They're just insane. Those are the 3 strengths right here. Very solid strengths, and it makes them a nightmare to deal with. Okay, so we've talked about the strength. Now let's go ahead and talk about the weaknesses, and let me tell you, there's not a lot of them. We're going to start off with the leadership abilities. We just talked about Mickey's leadership and how insane it is, and there's not another team in the game that have such a dramatic difference depending where you use them. Now, yes, with the Toy Story villains, they're a lot better in Club Conquest, but the sheer difference of leadership from Mickey to Donald, who would be the other leadership you have to use, is quite staggering and a huge, colossal difference. Now, Donald Duck, you can see his leadership right here. I'll put them both up to compare them both, but Donald Duck's leadership still pretty solid. Some nice offense numbers and countering chance, but nothing like Mickey, nothing like the haste, the harmful immunity, all the things that you have to work around. It's going to be a little bit different, and that's going to allow the entire battle to play out much more different. So top weakness is going to be the leadership difference. Next weakness on the list is they're quite susceptible to single target attacks. Now against AoEs like Go-Go, Captain Gantu, they're done. All the countering is going to pretty much kill you off. You're going to be putting these big debuffs on Daisy and Donald, triggering their empowerment. It's not going to be fun with AoE, and you're pretty much guaranteed to lose. However, with single target damagers like Zurg, like Sheriff, you're going to be able to tell there's a big difference from using AoE to single target. You can go ahead and nuke down and go with the target order that we're going to be talking about here in a moment to take down the S6 and make sure that you're taking down the right ones, but also you're not triggering too many counter attacks. Which puts me at a funny story. One time I decided to go ahead and use Zurg's Rapid Iron Blaster on Donald Duck, and that led to about 15 counterattacks from Daisy Duck. Even though my Zurg was dead, I was getting trolled by Daisy, just kicking me over and over. Don't use attacks that hit multiple times, and try not to use AoEs, as you're only going to get punished from those counters, which is a strength that we talked about, but they are very susceptible to the single target damage. And then last up for the weaknesses for this crew is that they're very RNG dependent, and this is actually a major one. RNG, as you guys know, is pretty much just summed down to luck in the game, and let's talk about why they are RNG dependent. Now, first of all, you've got things like Mickey Mouse's all together, and it's going to call random people picking random allies, and if they all grew up on one, you're pretty much screwed. However, you don't know where that's going to land. Also, probably one of the biggest things is all the countering, if that's going to trigger off, and if Donald and Daisy are going to beat you to death. And then lastly, and this is kind of important, is on defense, they're such a great team, and it comes down to the moves that they use. And we're going to just pull up a perfect example of this. Minnie Mouse. Now, turn order is typically very important with Sensational Six, and if they have it set up right, you're going to be seeing Daisy Duck going to go ahead and give cooldowns to Minnie to start the battle, which is going to allow Minnie Mouse to charm 3 freaking people. And we're going to talk about that in a second as well. But that's all coming down to RNG, because if Minnie Mouse decides to go ahead and kick the cake across the field, you're going to have a much higher, and I mean much higher chance to go ahead and win that battle. Whereas Charming, not only are you way slow compared to how fast they are on defense, but now you've got your own characters with offense up working against you. There's just really no way to come back from it. So if Minnie charms, that's a big RNG element, and that plays a huge factor into the Sensational Six role. Now, Cozy Club, before we get to the biggest threats, I want to go ahead and just bring up a quick statistic. Right now, over 50% of you guys are not subbed to the Cozy Club, guys. Helps out a bunch if you click that red subscribe button down below. And if you don't want to miss a video, you can also hit the bell. If you feel extra, you feel extra nice. And then lastly, if you like the video and you like these counter guides, go ahead and hit that like button. Let's go and jump on over to the biggest threats for Sensational Six. I'm gonna roll my sleeves up for this. Now listen here. The biggest threats on the field is going to be non-stop crazy AoEs from the team. But let's go ahead and break it down a little bit. Biggest threat by far, even without Sensational Six, Mickey freaking Theodore Mouse with the Disneyland Forever. Without a question, that is such a devastating move, and the fact he can get it faster than ever because of all the cooldowns on this team. That is a big threat that you're kind of always constantly keeping an eye on and making sure he's either stasis, shut down, silenced, or you somehow shut down that move from happening. On top of that, you've got Daisy Duck with a 20% chance to counter and Donald Duck with a 35% chance to counter on basic attacks when the other duck is hit. Also, a big thing that's a huge threat, those counters. Donald Duck, if you guys saw the Cozy Tower, completely ended me single-handedly and shut down so many teams from the big attacks that he has. When Donald Duck, the Pantless Wonder, is empowered, he's going to gain 40% offense, which is going to send him just shooting through the roof on insane viability and the offense that he can pump out. And then we talked about it, Minnie Mouse in those charms. She can get not one, not two, but three freaking people charmed on the field, which is something to look out. But not just the charm, just talking about everything all together. Pluto's able to do some counters and magic reduction. You've got Goofy, who has a taunt, and if his basic was working correctly, would be a foundational piece of the S6 team. So if that ever gets fixed, you got to worry about that. And then we talked about it. If there's a plug-and-play character like Hercules, you then have to deal with all this mess going on, and then the Herc with the protects. And so very difficult team, and sometimes you're going to find yourself, and not sometimes, a good amount of the times, you're not even going to find yourself to have a turn or enough really in the bank after their first sets a turn to be able to do anything to them. Now, if you have made it past that point, you don't have the triple charm, you don't have all the bad RNG happening, you're going to be able to start actually doing things to the S6. So we're going to talk about the targeting order for this team, who to target, who to go for first. It's not going to be just specific threats on the field. You're going to have to kind of monitor who you shut down with harmful effects like silence, and then who you actually kill. And then with all that in mind, also they're downtown heroes, which means Golden Hammer is another thing you have to deal with. Again, this is a nightmare of a team, and it's going to take a lot of practice and a lot of months for us to really nail this down. Since the update to Haste, it's only been about a month, and so it's going to take some time for us to learn how to counter them even more. But we're going to go ahead, talk about the target priority and the best ways to counter. If they have Golden Hammer, which most of the time S6 is going to be complemented with Golden Hammer, you do not want to try to kill Mickey or Donald first. If you kill them, they're just going to come back and you're going to have to deal with them all over again. So don't target those two first, but you got to kind of manage them. And while you are managing these characters, you want to either kill Minnie, Pluto, or whoever character that might be, or Daisy Duck. And that way, if the hammer comes back, it's not the end of the world, and they've already burnt that, and then you can focus on the big threats. Now, without a question, you want to try and nuke down Mickey Mouse. Now, whether that's through Polymorph, and you can go ahead and kill him safely through Polymorph, which that does not trigger Disneyland Forever, or Cozy Club. If you don't have Polymorph in your arsenal, like if you don't have villains or anything like that, you can actually charm Mickey Mouse once that harmful immunity has gone away, and then he will use DL Forever on his own team and heal your own team in return, and that's obviously a big way to gain a huge advantage. So just breaking it down quickly, if they have Golden Hammer, try to go ahead and kill Daisy, Minnie, or Pluto, or whatever this is. And then if they don't have Golden Hammer, you want to go ahead and target down Donald Duck pretty much first and foremost. Now, Cozy Club, I told you this was confusing. We've got these two layers to work with. If they have Golden Hammer, if they don't have Golden Hammer, and if Minnie did not use Charm, if you have RNGesus on your side and the cake came out, try to silence Minnie, try to shut her down with harmful effects, or kill her altogether. Now, once you've got rid of the Golden Hammer, I like to solely focus on Donald Duck while managing Mickey Mouse, because Donald, he's the big offense unit of the team. He's the one laying out the big attacks and really devastating and destroying your whole team with those counter attacks. And so bring in single target damage killers, try to take down Donald Duck, and then Mickey Mouse himself, you want to go ahead and try to manage or get rid of him right away. And again, if you get rid of Mickey, you don't have to worry about if you lose to the rest of the team. You can go back in and handle them a lot easier than if you weren't able to kill Mickey. Now, just a tip altogether and a targeting tip is, if you know you're going to lose the battle battle, just go for Mickey. Go all in for Mickey. Let him kill you. Bring it on. Bring the Disneyland Forever on. And then at least the next battle you go in Club Conquest, and this is talking for Club Conquest, you're going to have a much easier time. So one more time for just good measure, you want to go ahead and kill Minnie, Daisy, plus whoever that might be on the final slot. Finally, you want to go ahead and kill Donald or Mickey for the next thread. Polymorph or charm Mickey Mouse, and then take care of the rest. But with all that being said, and talking about the targeting priority, let's get to some counters, baby. And there's not a lot of them, but let's get to them. How to counter Sensational Six? That is the $1 million question at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. And I think you've come here and you've expected me to say Baymax, and you're dang right I'm going to mention Baymax. But we've got some other counters we'll talk about, but let's talk about Baymax and why he works as such a great counter against the Sensational Six. Baymax is currently one of the only characters, or one of the only viable characters with a big mass AoE purge. And that purge is going to get rid of all those starting buffs that these characters started out with, giving you a much easier time to try to catch up and actually land harmful effects or damage on these characters. Now, speaking of that, we really need more characters that can purge a mass amount of effects. We do have some other good purgers in the game. You have the Queen of Hearts, who can take one helpful effect from everyone. You have Honey Lemon, Wasabi, Mortal Potion. Yokai works somewhat well in Club Conquest against this team, and then you can also use Foul Play. But I'm hoping we get more ways to purge in the future, but Baymax is definitely going to be your best bet. So going in there with Baymax, you can have him be the bullet sponge, taking all the damage, having that auto taunt on him, and then you press that mass impact, baby, which is going to give your entire team harmful immunity themselves if they are tech, which is absolutely huge. And then you can get rid of all those buffs, giving you a much cleaner slate. So mass purging, or purging in general, is a great way to counter initially the Sensational Six team. Next up, I want to talk about one of my favorite counters that I have recently found. And, you know, if you're on Twitch with me, you guys have seen this team time and time again. If you're on YouTube, you haven't seen it yet. And that is going to be the villains with Yokai and Dr. F. So let's go ahead. We're going to talk about this team a little bit and why it works so well. Now, Ursula, she's unable to take that turn meter with all the stuff going on in the battlefield. However, what is nice is Dr. F is a big ticket to be able to handle the heat from the Sensational Six. Now, first of all, you've got the eels on the field, and I like Ursula, not for the leadership to take that speed, but the offense that she gives. But the eels on the field are going to die naturally to everything happening, and that's going to heal up your characters through Dr. Facilier. On top of that, if you have Yokai, and Yokai's especially good in Club Conquest, throw up all those microbots, and when those die as well, you're going to get some mass healing from Dr. F. Try to shadow Dr. F to get even more healing, and you're going to be able to at least handle all the heat coming at you. And pro tip here, guys, Ursula, Hades, Pap, plus Dr. F and Yokai, you can take Disneyland's Forever like a champ, because each time you have someone die, even if you've got all these shadows and all these summons, you're going to be healing the counter healing and the counter damage that's happening to your team, able to sustain the overall damage, and then you're going to punch them with polymorphs and control. And that's really what the villains do so well. Baymax is a great character for this, but the villain team does so well because it punishes by death by death. And what I mean by that is, when they're killing all these characters, not only are you healing from Dr. F, but you're also having pain and panic, having Hades combust over and over, able to kill the Sensational Six team. And if everything works out right, you can actually just completely demolish the team. And I've had some successful runs within Club Conquest doing this method. And then the last note about the villains is you're going to have polymorphs. You're going to have stasis. You can stasis Mickey Mouse or stasis Donald Duck and worry about the rest of them. So altogether, I like Baymax because he can kind of plug into any team and he's got that mass purge that you really need. But also the villains are great. Put the villains with Baymax. You're looking really solid at this point. And for the last counter is just max out survivability. So you guys have seen on the channel, we've got the Sturdy Gladiator. That's a team that I like to have with Hercules in it. Doesn't have to have Herc. It can have other characters in there as well. But you want to go ahead and go with the Maui lead. What I like to run with the Sturdy Gladiator is Maui lead. You've got Rapunzel for the reviving. You've got Baymax for all the protection. You've got Pegasus for extra mitigation and putting out blinds on the field, if she's able to even land those blinds. And then lastly, you've got Maui and Herc for all the extra shields, all the protect, and then hopefully you can get Hercules to his empowered state. So you right now have to kind of go with a legendary to tackle this legendary group. You're going to need Baymax, you're going to need Hercules, or you're probably going to need Ursula in the villains, or just the villains in general to take down S6. Now, keep in mind, this isn't Club Conquest. This is on defense. This is talking about mainly maxed out Gear 8, Hercules on the squad as that filler. Really tough teams to go up against. And in live PvP, much different story. Just go with those single target damagers. Take down, nuke down Donald, nuke down Daisy, and then it's pretty much as simple from there. So Cozy Club, I know a lot to digest in this video. We went through the strengths, the weaknesses, the target priority, the biggest threats on the field, and then finally how to counter them all together. Not going to be easy, and you only get better with practice. And so I recommend going to Sorcerer's Tournament, going to Club Conquest when you can, fight these teams. And lastly, if you want a good Club Conquest team or a good Sorcerer Tournament team, go after the S6. Unlike Beast, you're getting 6 great characters to unlock Mickey that you're going to use in battle, and they're an awesome team altogether, but it could be a while before we see them again. Whew. Well, if you don't have a notepad that's completely filled out, we went through everything in this video, guys. Strength, weaknesses, threats, the kill, and the target priority. Everything you need to know to take on this absolutely horror of a defensive team. Now, guys, hopefully luck is on your side. Let me know down in the comments below how your testing is going. And if you know a better counter or you know a new counter to the team, put it down so the whole Cozy Club can see it. And my friends, we got more counter guides, more videos coming your way. Check out these other amazing videos on the way out. And until next time, as always, stay cozy.